Hi, everybody. Judy Seeker here, your host. So happy to have you guys back on here on Supercharge Immunity TV channel because I always get the best of the best for you, and today is no exception. I typically don't do a formal intro, but this is like, you got to know about this woman. This is like Miss Phenomenal. So Kristin Comella is in the house. She's here in Florida, has a biohacking plus a clinic. I went to see her. She looks like she just graduated high school, so that means she's practicing what she preaches, right? And she's like super, like, knows all about stem cell therapy and regenerative medicine, biohacking. We're going to get into a bunch of that stuff. 20 plus years, and she looks like she's out of high school. It's crazy. But what's very interesting is she has a background in engineering, and when people have a background in engineering, like, they know the mechanics of things really, really well. So she put me on some of her biohacking stuff over at her place, and I'm like, I don't even know what this does, but it was like, whoa, she knows her stuff. Like, whoa, like, it's one of those things. So you guys are going to get to meet her, and we're going to deep dive into how to make sure your immunity is supercharged with, do you want to be called Doc or just Kristin? Are you cool?
Either way.
All right, Doc Kristin in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
PhD extraordinary. I love everything you're doing, Kristin. Like, you're really, really phenomenal, and you practice what you preach, and that is so important. So let's dive in and first talk a little bit about yourself. Like, why did you get into this 20 years ago? And, she went from engineering into all this other stuff. Like, what was that transition like? Talk to us.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. Wonderful program that you've got going, and glad to be a part of it. So when I was first starting college, I was really good at math. So I knew I needed to do something that involved that. So engineering was the obvious. And by the way, I asked the guidance counselor at that time, what's the hardest major? And they said, chemical engineering. I said, fine, I'll do it. And so I did both my bachelor's and my master's in chemical engineering, and my PhD is in stem cell biology. And when I was going into engineering, I was really more interested in the greatest machine ever made, which happens to be the human body. And I mean, just think about how fantastic this system is, and how it's able to do things without us really even thinking about it. Just to take one small example, your heart beats every second for 100 years, and it doesn't ever quit. No machine on the planet can do such a thing. Certainly not this thing. This will be broken by Christmas. They'll have a new one out. So, the fact that you've got this electronic inside your body that just goes and goes is really kind of mind blowing. And so when I was doing engineering, I really wanted to take more of a bio focus, and how can I apply engineering concepts to this amazing machine that we've been gifted.
Yeah, and I think what I love about you, Kristin, is that because you know the deep, deep science of how the body works, so many people, like right now I'm on TikTok going viral left and right, and they're all talking like they don't know the foods, they don't know their body, how it works, and that's why they're all sick. But you understand the functioning of the body. So this particular topic, we're going to talk about metabolism and how it connects with the immune system, because people don't get metabolism and you do. And I want them to understand it. So this is really exciting. So let's talk first. Why don't you explain in layman's terms so everybody understands what is metabolism?
Okay, so first of all, because your system is so complex, everything works together. And so I think oftentimes when we don't feel well, we go to the doctor, and maybe they take a blood sample and they say, oh, your numbers in this category are off, but don't worry, we have a pill. And it's addressing one small thing in the system, and it's not really looking at the system as a whole. It's not looking at the root cause. And so when you're somebody who says, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight, my metabolism is slow. Okay, maybe, but let's go back further. What's the root cause? How did you get to this? And really, one of the systems that has become out of balance is your hormone system, your endocrine system. And this has happened due to overstress. And I think a lot of people think about stress being like, I'm stressed out about money, or I'm stressed out about my job. But stress on the body is so much more than just your emotional stress. So we all have kind of a stress bucket, And stress can mean environmental stress. So did the water you drink have some toxins in it? Did the air you breathe have some toxins? It can mean that emotional stress. It can mean stress coming from chemicals that you're breathing in. Are you wearing perfume or other fragrance that have neurotoxins that your body just cannot process? By the way, are you wearing some scented lotion? All of these things are going to be stress on the body. Your stress bucket gets full, the adrenals are just cranking out cortisol, and now it shuts down the whole hormonal system. So your endocrine system just goes into disarray, your thyroid is no longer functioning, and as a result, the metabolism just slows down. So when people say, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight, we have a term for this. We call it REMAS, and it's really the endocrine system has become in disarray. So what we can do is hit the reset button. We can hit the reset button by addressing three things: appropriate nutrition. And when people say, well, I've tried diets, mostly what they've tried is starvation type techniques. And these kind of techniques never, ever work. They actually slow your metabolism. So these are going to be your typical programs where you're watching your calories, you're making sure that you're not eating too much food, but that's not going to help you. That's actually going to make you worse. The second thing we have to address is appropriate fitness. What I find is oftentimes these people who come in and say, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight, they're overtraining. And their body is already in complete stress, and working out is more stress on the body. It's more adrenal stress. So the last thing you need to be doing is an hour spinning class. It's actually making your situation worse. We have to get you into a state of recovery so that we can bring back homeostasis and balance. And then the last component is mindset. Mindset is everything. If your mindset is not there, the program will not work. And so I have a partner, Phil Kaplan, who developed these programs. They're 21-day metabolic reboot programs, and they work. People feel better. They're coming off of their meds. People who were diabetic are no longer diabetic. People who say no matter what they do, they can't lose weight, they're losing weight. So
there's so many things we could talk about that with the 21-day program. I really want to dive into that, but just so people understand, you brought up so many things. We could talk for 3 hours. So you mentioned metabolism, fast and slow, and I hear that too all the time. I have a slow metabolism, I have a fast metabolism. So let's just talk about how does that, whether it's fast or slow, it's like you're saying, it's not the root issue. There's many other things that are the root issue. But how does that affect the immune system? Like, why are people's immune system going down now so much versus how it was even 10 years ago? I mean, it's really changed, right? Like, what do you see in the connection there?
Yeah, really, this has to do with inflammation. And so when the body is inflamed, so of course, when your stress bucket is full, adrenals are cranking, you're just kind of overreacting, you're getting these kind of cytokine storms. And we've heard this term cytokines now because of COVID. So this is something that people are becoming more familiar with, but this is something that we've talked about here at Biohackers for years. And the concept is that when the body is inflamed, inflammation is up, you've got these circulating cytokines that are trying to kind of handle the inflammation, and every system in your body is getting affected. Even down to, your blood vessels where the blood is pumping. So, you start to get this high blood pressure, you're getting narrowing, you're getting plaque buildup. This is all inflammation. This is all cytokines kind of cranking up the immune system, just over-responding, overreacting.
Yeah, and I love that you said, Kristin, I just got to just jump in here. That is such an important point, that people starve themselves or they work out, they continue working out and go, 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 go. And it's weakening their immune system. Like, they're not making that connection. So I'm really glad that you're bringing it up. And of course, the mindset. So let's talk about the ways to improve it. Like, let's just give them a few practical things, right? So you mentioned the nutrition, you mentioned fitness, you mentioned the mindset. So as far as nutrition goes and the metabolism and the immune system, what are some practical things people could do at home to start that whole process of getting it balanced so their immune system is not taking such a hit and their inflammation can go down?
Yeah, so the first part of the program is removing energy disruptors. So these are going to be, your sugars, your alcohol, and remember, alcohol is a sugar. It's the simplest sugar. It takes 3 days to detox. It's actually easier to completely eliminate than to have just less. If you're having less, you're always going to keep those cravings going. So if you eliminate sugars, 3 days to detox that, and then you will not want it. So that first day is going to be really hard. The second day, maybe a little harder. The third day, you're going to hate me and you'll say terrible things about me, and it's okay. I can take it. You can call me up and yell at me. The fourth day, you're going to say, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. So you have to eliminate the energy disruptors. It's not, oh, I'm going to have a little bit. If you're having a little bit, you're going to continue to have that spike in the blood sugar and the crash.
And I like the way you said that it would be because everybody's drinking wine at night now, especially with the pandemic the last couple of years. They think that's the only thing that can relax them, whatnot. Are you saying that like zero alcohol is really the way to go for 3 days and just get that out of your system? Do you think that would be like a really important aspect of this?
So if you are in a state of not health, if you're needing to lose extra fat, if you are on high blood pressure medications, or maybe your doctor prescribed metformin because you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic, yes, you have to eliminate that. We have to stabilize your blood sugar. If you are spiking it with sugar, alcohol is sugar, we can never stabilize it. So yes, in the program, 21 days, you have to eliminate it. So when people tell me, oh no, I can't let go of my alcohol. Okay, well, that's what works. This is what's going to work. We've got to stabilize your blood sugar. You've been spending how many years feeling not good? And this is what the people feel like. They can't sleep at night. They're having trouble sleeping. However, they're exhausted. They're tired. They don't have energy. They've got brain fog. They walk into a room and say, hey, where's my keys? And they're holding their keys in their hand. So if these symptoms sound familiar to anyone listening, yeah, this is what we have to do. We have to reset. We have to stabilize your blood sugar. And then we can get you feeling good. So once you're past that, if you want to have an occasional glass of wine, of course. So we are reluctant to say things like you are never allowed to have XYZ. That's not true. You know, alcohol, good or bad, it depends. Yeah, but when you are trying to stabilize the system and get yourself back to homeostasis, we have to eliminate those energy.
3 days, that's all it takes, right? And that's exactly, you know, I know we don't know each other. We've been like two ships passing in the night these last 20 years, but that's exactly the conclusion I've come to. 3 days. And you can get ready with it, but it's still 3 days. It's 3 days for that detox, whether it's sugar, alcohol, whatever it is. It really takes that long to get it out of your system. So 100% with you on that. That's exactly what I teach as well. So that's the nutrition part. Now, fitness, like you said, a lot of people are overworking, like working out every single day, hours at a time. And you're saying that might not be such a great idea to reset their metabolism and really get their immune system so that it could heal. So what do you recommend as far as exercise?
Yep. So in the beginning, we start with a 9-minute routine. And I'll have people say, oh no, I work out for an hour and a half every day. I know, but you've been doing that for the past 10 years. And how's that working for you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, good. Then trust me, trust the process. We start with 9 minutes. We start with diaphragmatic breathing. People have moved into survival breathing. They're using the upper portion of their lungs only. So when you are getting full breaths using your diaphragm, so expanding the belly, now you're circulating oxygen. Now we're talking. And people have forgotten how to breathe. When you see a baby sleeping, you see the whole belly and chest going up and down. When you see an adult sitting at their computer, you see barely anything moving. It's just right here in the upper lungs. It's survival breathing. So teaching adults how to breathe again is step one of the fitness. We also do something called lymphatic twists. So this is to get the lymph system moving. Super easy. You're going to twist and you're going to punch yourself in the lower back. So the lymph system does not have a pump. The cardiac system has a pump. It's the heart. So it keeps things moving. The lymph system, because we are a sedentary population, we're spending a lot of time sitting, the lymph system tends to just like the sludge build up. So to get it moving, you basically punch yourself in the back. So you can do those twists and punch yourself. So this is part of the 9-minute routine. And we do some functional movements, using the body how it's intended. And I think this is the mistake of a lot of fitness centers. They do kind of muscle isolation, and they work muscles, not how they're used in the real world. To give you an example, this machine where you lay on your stomach and then you do like a ham curl. So you're using the hamstring bending at the knee. Well, that's not how the hamstring is used in the real world. The hamstring is used in the real world to move you forward as you walk. So it's hinging from the hip. So doing movements that actually use the muscles how they're used. Now, if you told me
you have a different fitness center, totally. I mean, when I went there, I was very surprised. I didn't see the typical equipment there. There was just all kinds of, I mean, I knew some things like the cryotherapy, hyperbaric chamber, whatever, but then you had all these other things. I was like, this is very interesting. And you had me sitting on machines that, was like moving different things. Like, it's not typical because you understand the human body and what it's really needed. It's not that you need an hour and a half of working out. That said, you're like spinning queen. So I know that you can do it and you're out there, but there's a time and a place. And when people are super inflamed, that's not the time. So let's just, because we both love to talk about this particular subject, which people really need to hear, is the mindset, right? Everybody is high anxiety and worried, and they're just really struggling and looking for what needs to be done. So first, let's talk about, Doc, what is the connection with the mindset and the immune system? And then let's get into some practical things that could help them.
Yeah. So being kind of a scientist and coming from, numbers and that kind of world, for me, it's easier to think of mindset also scientific. So, neurons firing together, creating new pathways. There is a physical component to it, because I think sometimes, for people who are, a little bit more analytical, it's hard for them to go into that prefrontal cortex imagination space. But when you realize that thoughts are physical, there is a physical side to it, the neurons, and then you've got gap junctions, and it's all firing, and you're creating these images in your mind. Tap into that analytical side, you can do so much. So as you think, so shall you be. And I think people get stuck in a loop of discomfort, their circle of discomfort. They get stuck there and they label themselves. I am a diabetic. And it's like, no, a doctor told you that. That is not who you are. That is not your identity. What if we can reverse that? So what we do with some of the mindset exercises is get them from an I can't kind of position. Oh, I can't do that, my doctor says, to, hey, maybe my doctor didn't know about some of these other things. Maybe, and then eventually you're going to make those pathways, those neural pathways so strong that it's just, this is how I am. This is what I do. And so simple exercises, write it down in a journal, write some I am statements, write about the future as if it is. Of course, getting yourself in a state of gratitude, writing down what you're thankful for, it can convert. Now, the other thing to think about is emotions actually have a resonance. You can measure it, and low emotions resonate low and high emotions resonate higher. So the easiest way to go from a low emotion to a high emotion is to think of something you're thankful for. And that'll instantly take you up. And always remembering that emotions are opposite and complementary. So you couldn't possibly know the up if you didn't know the down.
I love that. Yeah, it's simple. And I remember 2 years ago hearing that same thing. I knew there's connections with our thoughts and emotions, but I was making a shift in my business and I could feel the negativity. So I wrote on my bathroom mirror in my old lipstick, I am thankful for. And I thought every day, what am I thankful for today? Waking up in the morning, looking at that mirror and saying, I am thankful. And it just shifts you. Not always a huge shift, but enough where it shifts you out of that rut, like you just said, into a more positive light. It makes all the difference, right?
It does.
It's huge. Yeah. So if you mix the nutrition with the movement and the mindset, it really makes that immune system way, way stronger. So just as we're ending up here, so people understand, first thing I want people to know, they could come to see you in Florida at the Biohacking Fitness Place, and that's in Weston. I'll have the link below, but what's the one where you mix the ozone with the stem cell clinic? What is that one?
Right. Yeah. So I have two facilities. At the biohacking facility, we really have some different therapies, fitness, where we can heal at the cellular level. If we make your cells happy, we make you happy. So we can address the cellular health with different light, infrared light, in particular, focusing on the mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cells. We can do cold therapy, things like cryotherapy, where we are addressing the inflammatory response, bringing down the inflammation, stimulating a healing cascade. Also, by the way, kicking up your parasympathetic recovery. So most humans, especially here in the United States, because we are in this constant adrenal stress, fight or flight, and this is all day long. You're in traffic, or you're mad. You go home and you look at Facebook and somebody said something you don't like and you're mad. Your boss sends you a text and you're mad. Your spouse says something, you're mad. Your kids did this, you're mad. It's all nonstop. It's fight or flight. So we don't go into our parasympathetic recovery. Think of this as like your parachute. So fight or flight is like, oh my God, there's a lion. I need to fight it, or I need to run. Parasympathetic is, I fought the lion, I survived, now I can rest. Cryotherapy, that cold therapy, puts you in to your parasympathetic recovery. So on those days that it's just like my boss, the Facebook, the whatever, cryotherapy, we cool it off, literally. We also have things, different oxygen therapies. We have also magnetic therapies, really healing the cells from different direction, addressing the voltage of your body, remembering that we're a complex electrical grid. We also can do negative ion treatments, addressing the free radicals inside your body. Free radicals are what age us. This is the molecules that inside your body have lost an electron and they've become crazy like, and they start stealing electrons from the neighboring. So it just leads to tissue breakdown, tissue degradation. So that's all at the biohacker side, more therapeutic, but also fitness. You can see behind me, we do have spinning. On the clinical side, we have different therapies that are more regenerative in nature. So we can do ozone therapy. Ozone is great. It's a molecule of 3 oxygens. It's a little bit unstable. So typical air would be 2 oxygens like this. So 3 oxygen is unstable, but it can be very therapeutic. It's antimicrobial. It can be used to heal, essentially. It's also great for diabetes, helping to balance the blood sugar. But then we have more regenerative type treatments, stem cells, platelet-rich plasma. We do something called acoustic sound wave, and also functional medicine. So we can look at the hormones. We can, determine where you are and where we want you to be. So we have things that are more invasive or things that are less invasive. And this is all done at the clinical side. So really, by putting all of this together, it's about human betterment. And it's my purpose.
Doc, you also mentioned you have a 21, is it a 21-day program? That can people do that virtually, or do they need to come into the clinic? Can you explain that a little bit?
Both. We have it virtually. So if you're not in the South Florida area, we do have online programs as well. You can follow along, and it'll change your life. This program was originally developed and used at Johns Hopkins. We were trying to determine if we could get people off of their chronic disease medications. And in fact, we could. And what we discovered is that this could also be used for such a range of people, even for people who are already athletes because they want to get better, they want to improve, or people who say, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight and I'm diabetic. So this is just really across the board helping people.
And then do you have docs or like yourself that talk to the people as they're going through the program, or is it a self-paced program? Like, how does it work?
So if you're local in the area, the program is done with our trainers here. And we can also introduce the clinical side working with the physicians. But if you're not local, the online program, you would follow along yourself.
Okay, cool. So simple and effective, and you just need to all come to Florida. That's the bottom line. Doc, I really appreciate you coming and sharing this. We're going to do more talks with you, more about biohacking and ways to help the immune system. But this was so important for people to understand metabolism and the connection. So thank you so much for doing that deep dive. Appreciate you. And those of you who are watching, make sure you hit the links, talk to Doc's team, and they're wonderful. They're just super nice. I sent people over already. Everybody says, yeah, they're really nice. They care. It's like, yeah, they do. That's what you want. People who care and can really take care of you. So contact her, get your questions answered. Don't live in a life worried about chronic illness. Not necessary. Talk to Doc Kristin and her team. She'll take care of you, not a problem. All right, Doc. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
we'll see you on the next show. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Bye-bye.